Hello, 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 everyone. How is everyone doing today? Oh boy, it was a little red. Happy Tax Loss Wednesday. That's a good way to put it. Santa bought puts. Hey, Lauren. Well, I'm glad somebody finds my headlines funny. How is everyone doing? Lower viewership so far this afternoon. Is that how bad the markets were? Hello, Charles. How are you doing? Oh, boy. Well, thank you for being here during this holiday season. I really do appreciate it. We'll go through some stuff. Again, we broke some key levels today. That was nice. Bullish patterns never triggered. We'll take a look at that, and we turned around. The nice little short, especially in the NASDAQ. So, see people trickling in slowly. Something must be wrong, though. Where was Patrick? Patrick was not first in. Somebody needs to check on Patrick. Ooh, I just was looking at the AP crude oil stock change. A little less draw than expected. All right. Well, by the way, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Let's get right down to it. Richmond Fed manufacturing, where is it? Manufacturing index coming in better into expansion, just barely, but coming in better than forecast. The Fed services, Richmond Fed services now. That was an ugly number. Dallas Fed services. That was an incredibly ugly number. Incredibly. And look at the Fed services revenues index. Forecast 6. Prior 5.5. This is in contraction 0.6%. Uh-oh. Here we come with the recession blazing down the trail. Hello, Connor. Tesla up today. What's wrong with the world market down? What's wrong with the... I want to know what the hell... What's up with Tesla bulls? Tesla bulls are some of the most annoying people, and I'm sorry if you're one of those perpetual Tesla bulls. Not every one of you, but a lot of you are very annoying. So I'll watch the unsubscribes go up. You know why? Today, Tesla's been absolutely obliterated. We're finally got a little micro bounce in Tesla, and it's like people contact me. See, I told you so. Tesla's leading the market today up. It's like, okay, you've been down. Like, all right. Never said Tesla had to go straight down. It actually shocked me how fast this went down. But at least we could have a pausing bar so I can get new harmonic levels. That's how bad it's been. You see here, there's your little green. There's your green in the sea of red. You got it right there, Tesla. Go, Tesla, go. 331 basis points up today. What else was? Oh, Lucid, see? Lucid losing out to Tesla, only up 290 basis points. Lucid. Oh, well. But Tesla... sea of green in the big, or a little green in the big sea of red. Yes, Tesla did outperform the market today. Congratulations, Tesla bulls. By the way, if you didn't see it, come on. This is why analysts friggin' stink. This is moronic. All right? Moronic. How much is Tesla down already? And now you're cutting your price target to 250 and reiterate overweight? Oh, okay. You telling me it's getting back to 250 to an 800 billion market cap again in this kind of environment? And now you're slowly ratcheting it down? Don't follow analysts. Even with they're late to the party to turn. And I'm not just talking about Tesla right now. I'm talking analysts just are horrific. We'll get the sell-off some point next year. Earnings will get obliterated. They'll be ratcheting down, and then they'll keep ratcheting down the price targets as stocks start to recover. And then the recoveries will come down the ratcheted price targets. They'll say, see, after we've lowered them late to the game, and now the stock's finally bouncing, oh, they've hit our price target. Then it'll go up, and then they'll be late to keep raising them back up. Don't trade off of analyst price targets. Please, 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 please. You see here, everything was a mess today. Healthcare held up the best, followed by financial. Energy taking it a little bit in the shorts today. Fed watch, 67% for that 25 basis points. Still solidly in fear mode. Still solidly in fear mode. So, who did I not get? Good afternoon, Royal Palms. Tesla. Tesla seems to be the inverse to the spiders. It was just, Tesla's so oversold. It's absurd. Yet, Tesla, it did hit the first of, well, it hit it actually post-market yesterday. And you can use, by the way, I will reiterate, we don't use pre and post-market for the structure of patterns. But let's say you're using something. I don't have a problem putting orders in that will trigger pre or post markets to hit targets, to hit price targets. And it did hit, Tesla did hit the first Head and Shoulders price target in post market yesterday. And guess what? When you get this little formation right there, you know, what was the technical price target? And it's not as exact on Head and Shoulders too, because you're trying to line up the breakdown zone. So I just roughly 107.52, 108 considered hit. That's hit. Now I'm assuming we might get a pausing bar here. We don't have an official one, but for the Tesla bears, 96, 91, 85, 57 are the next two minor targets lower. If this is in fact a pausing bar, because we haven't even gotten a decent one. So there you go. Up 331 basis points. Time for celebration. I wish it will hurry up and go below 100. Well, what's below 100? How far below 100? See, I think it should go way below 100. Tesla is trying to be different. That it is. On a sea of red, Tesla holding up. Do you see the 87.5 is, yes, not for a bottom target, but that is my minimum bottom targeting area, Kratos. And that does not have to happen in the next few weeks. There can be a bleed out next year, okay? And you will get rallies between then. Don't get hoodwinked by this. This is very bearish price action. But for that to continue all the way down to the 62.55 area would be, I don't know. It will, but not like in a straight red line. We will get bounces. You will get bounces and reconnects with the weekly rotation zone. Do not be surprised. Do not be surprised. Especially, let's say they do strong deliveries for fourth quarter, you'll get a pretty decent bounce. But long term, we have the probabilities in our favor and even the financials. You'll get this, and they'll get some earnings compression, especially with their cost-cutting measures and everything else. They'll get in the P to E. Not only will price drop over time, they'll get earnings compression too. So when you get earnings compression, that can raise your P to E ratio again with price staying stable. So that's another one. People are like, oh, it's so low on the P to E. Yeah. It's come down an incredible amount. But when you get some earnings compression next year, just based off the auto industry, we'll have earnings compression next year when we get a recession. So it's not just Tesla. I'm not just picking on Tesla. You'll see earnings compression in a lot of auto manufacturers. So yeah, the 87 is an area that's my minimum for the pullback, and then the Head and Shoulders target 52.81. But anywhere in here, you know, a return to your breakout from the support level from February 20 before the insane run up. Nothing wrong with that. Just don't get lulled to sleep, because you know, I know some severe Tesla bears who think it has to drop to $20 tomorrow. It's not going to drop to Is it possible if Elon, I don't know where to who knows? Is it possible something happened? Yeah, but is it likely that it's going to drop to $20 in the next week? No, you're going to see bounces. You got to be realistic with stuff. And by the way, watching something come back down does not mean you're a hater or anything else. Speaking of coming back down, something you haven't looked at in a while. Oh, poor little AMC. 384. And all the people who again told me this would not round trip. I'm sorry. It's round tripped. Sorry. This is why you don't have diamond hands and hold everything. You cut your losses, whatever the stock, even if it's your favorite stock. Know where your stops are. You can always get back in lower. I don't care what it is. Don't get married to a stock. Whether it's so. And don't also get married to a stock on the way down. Because long term, Tesla's not disappearing probably at this point. But will there be buying opportunities? Yeah. All right. So let's see how many people dropped off the live stream with my Tesla a little bit. I'm open for 33 to 50. We'll keep an eye on it. It's a fascinating stock to follow. We'll find bottoming patterns. Mike says it should go to 0. I love your little comments, Mike. Chris needs the spiders to get to 396. Let's just have it's the holiday season, you know? And we're talking, you need the spiders to get to 396. Why would you need why do you need them to get to 396, Chris? Why? Reconnecting with the low area, boy, 396 is going to be tough. Now, maybe you get a bounce in January. I don't know. You're back to a potential little double bottoming pattern here, but it's horribly sloppy with this. It's a mess. Let's just review some markets. But I need to know, Chris, why you need to get to 396. Now that we've officially written off the Santa rally, do we capitulate in January? Could we? Yeah. Do we have a capitulation setup yet? No. We're a long way from a capitulation setup. There's a lot more technical damage that has to be done before we get a capitulation setup. By the way, this is also... Remember I said I needed a 1 hour close to trigger we got confirmation, but never triggered, never 1 hour close. This didn't even get a 5-minute close. Didn't even get a 1 minute close. That's why you wait for at least some kind of close, and the close for me was a 1 hour because that was the time frame it was set up on at least. That's the bigger ones off the table. The smaller ones off the table. The bulls have left the building. Almost back to the 87.5 from this little run up. So that's my key level, 38.02. Keep in mind with the Morgan Stanley caller trade that I believe expires this week for some stuff. 3,800. You start getting below that, we could see pretty decent acceleration. That was a pretty strong line in the sand at the very end of the day. I'm watching for 38.02 overnight. 38.02 overnight. We get acceleration to the downside. Nothing's changed with the key levels. Let me leave that on, actually. I'm then 37.72. My major target area is 37.55 on a continued sell-off. Can see here, we have not been able to get anything going into the rotation zone. Every time it's poked in the rotation zone, it's got pretty decent selling pressure. So, and this is the lowest now close since. This is the lowest close since back at, again, this wiped out that. So since Wednesday the 9th of November. And we even lowest close with all the support closing basis since pre-Christmas, since the 19th, 20th. We're closed all below that. Weekly cycles, by the way, are getting to the bottom, but not yet turning up. Also, if we get a more substantial sell-off, keep an eye at the weekly 200, which is coming in at the 75% harmonic, 36.68. But my next major key area is this 37.55. So, let's see. I want to... Tesla goes to 33, then what? The economy drove it up to 1,200 won't exist anymore? What do you mean the economy that drove it up to? It wasn't the economy that drove it up to 1,200. It was a bunch of gamma squeeze funny money. Joining late. Love the title for the video. Thanks, Jake. Glad you're here. Another zero for AMC. AMC will file for reorganization this year. You watch. Well, Stafford just got here. Thank you for being here, Stafford. You bought some calls 2 weeks ago. Did you have a stop loss, Chris? I'm confused. Musk posted an anti-vax meme, anti-LGBTQ. Well, you didn't get the Q on there. Memes, and compared himself to Batman in the last 24 hours. Why isn't it skyrocketing with such a genius leading the company? I have no comment. I completely agree with you that China's going after Taiwan this year. China will go after Taiwan. Will Tesla be a zero then? Can we look at Etsy? I'm looking for a drop soon. Yeah. Let me get to some other key things. I gave you my support levels. NASDAQ, remember I said watch for that. That was a short and opportunity. Now, the S&P went down. But the NASDAQ was nice. Or the Qs. Here are your Qs coming right in. Look at that. Just within a hair's distance of the 87.5. After we got the close below the 62.5 back on the 19th, the probability is nearly fulfilled. So, by the way, you have the target cluster down here, but I'm expanding this for the next potential key level. So remember, we still have a cluster right about 260, 259.50, 260 in the Qs. Next levels are 258.15. And then the cluster at the lows from 13th of October. Sorry to jump around a little, but just wanted to point that out. I'm just pulling this and getting to the major areas. Key level for the Qs is 10,717 to 10,700. Watch if we do sell off tomorrow. Watch for the close below that level because it could get bloody then. There is not much support below 10.7. Not much at all. So pay very close attention to that tomorrow if we continue the sell-off. Remember also at the NASDAQ, we have cycles getting to the bottom, but not yet bottoming. And daily cycles are not yet at the bottom again. We should be getting bottom, what word am I looking for? I just blanked out. Rotation, bottom, you know this thing I talk about. Why did I just blank out? Oh, boy. Bottom formations beginning next week with both the daily and the weekly. So I will be keeping a very close eye on that. Boy, I'm sorry. I had a brain meltdown. By the way, the Dow bigger double bottom is technically not off again, but this is closed below the 50 again. I'm watching. Let's see. Where are we right now? I wanted to close below 33.052. We got 6 minutes left. 33.060. Not yet there. Boy, why isn't it going to make it easy on me? The key area for the Dow, though, to watch is a reconnection. If we do sell off, a reconnection with the 200-day. The Russell, by the way, the Russell is now, you can clearly see, 1, 2, 3, triple bottom. No more potential bullish pattern in the Russell. So all these bullish patterns have been wiped out. And the Russell closing below, let me pull this off real quick, closing below the 62.5 harmonic. So we, probability-wise, has now shifted back to even more substantially bearish, wiping out the potential bullish setup and shifting to bearish for a retest, even on a rally, a retest of the lows from October, from mid-October and the end of September. Wow. Bearish, 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 bearish. Is Gamma Squeeze Funny Money going to come back? I don't know. I don't think so. But you know what? Gamma squeezing, if they realize that it can work in, especially in a bear market, to the downside, the markets better watch out, because the same gamma squeeze that worked to the upside during the rah-rah COVID days can work to the downside. With earnings contraction, you start gamma squeezing puts, it works the same friggin' way. So I'm on sort of heightened alert for that, because that could do some additional damage to the market if that kicks in. Let's just peek a look at what do we have here. We have end phase. I'll get to. I did not look at end phase. End phase. I'm saying even if it bounces, we'll reconnect with the 200 easily. Ooh, is that a... Ooh. Do you see what I see? There, I'm turning it into end phase Christmas Carol. The end phase Christmas Carol. Do you see what I see? Oh, that could get interesting for next year. I gotta set a little alert right there. Do you see what I see? The viewership is dropping. What did I do here? I want an alert. Why won't... Where'd have my alert thing? There we go. Close enough. All right. In the short term, that's a little way off. I'd watch that reconnection with the 200. Let's just see what the short-term harmonics. This is the only YouTube channel that will try to combine a Christmas Carol with a double top pattern. You heard it here first. Yep, close below 62.5, so you should easily return to that 200. And then potentially trigger the double. There we go. Let's just have some fun. You wanted, so what do we want? Who else? Etsy? Etsy. I've not looked at Etsy in a while. Etsy yesterday officially triggered the double. Well, I'm just curious. Oh, just with the aggressive targets. The double with the aggressive targets could easily see a reconnection with the 200. Where is this? I mean, Etsy's going back down. So yeah, you got a nice little potential short setup. As long as you don't get a close above 135.65, it's in play. I just want to see the weekly. Yeah, look at that. Bottom, slightly lower probability against the rotation zone, but that first target is well within for stop reduction. So that could be a nice little short setup on Etsy. And the little hitch in here, first target's in front of there. So that's decent. Does this invalidate it just for people studying double tops and double bottoms? No, it doesn't. But it's really nice to have the stop reduction in this hitch. And if you look here, look at this. I got to change my colors. There we go. Resistance, breaking it a little, but closing right on that level for support. And that's the first target. Fascinating little Etsy setup. You've been playing the Etsy 107 put. Well, you're pretty close to the ballpark with that. Right there. Don't know when your expiry is. Conservative targets would be 109. Aggressive targets would be 105. And you're right in the middle, 107. So there's my thoughts, Royal Palms. You got my thoughts. Depending on your expiration, you should be good to go. If it's going to be by Friday, it won't hit 107, but you could be well within from where you purchased them. There's nothing positive on the horizon for our economy. We are being led by idiotic ideologues who've never spent any time outside the universities. We will suffer immensely in 2023. Sterling with the holiday wishes for us. Thank you, Sterling. And I thought I was bearish. Boy, you guys make me look bullish. I have to verify some of what Mike says. I'm not discounting it, but I don't know these numbers off the top of my head. It's been 271 years. Well, I could do the math on that. When we discovered electricity, was electricity discovered in 1752, though? Is that the year electricity was discovered? The last shoe to drop end phase? Well, there we go. Is everybody tuning in? The government leadership is anti-energy. Grief movement wants to run before it can walk. We are pushing ourselves to inconvenience. Our enemy's future is not bright. And I agree. You know what? I'm all for like sustainable energy sources, but some of this energy policy is completely absurd. Come on. Germany's also shot themselves in the foot too. It's just absurd. And you can't power the world off wind and solar. Sorry, not gonna happen. Sorry about that. You will, see, that's what they truly want. What is it, Klaus? Who's head of the World Economic Forum? Boy, listen, this is going to be turning into a conspiracy live stream. Conspiracy that's not a conspiracy? Is that something? What's... Ooh, right there to 62.5. Interesting. Look at that. Didn't even look at that with end phase. So 107.97, there's a great target. So your puts are spot on target. The market is not going to zero. I can tell you that. Now, if the world ends, if we are, God forbid, we get in some kind of World War III nuclear war, then fine. But then I'm not really worried about the market going to zero because it's not going to matter. Dark screen, we've talked about this. I hope you'll start investing in proper stuff. to rebuild your portfolio. Don't chase the stuff that brought you down. Learn to use proper trading and investing techniques. So I'm also pointing out some dividends plays to people because if you want to learn to do some stuff for even in a bear market next year, there'll be some great dividend stocks to snap up at key levels. Look at that. From the big sell-off, I just love to do this analysis at C. From the big retracement, that 200 is right at the 50% harmonic. Got a complete magnet there. Okay, Mike, I have to know where you get all this information. I need to know. You come up with it so quickly. Here, George comes in with a Klaus Schwab. That was it. See, we're a full-blown conspiracy now. Not a conspiracy. Apple's weight on markets could slam the market if it can't get above 130. Apple was a nice big breakdown play today. Apple, by the way, double bottom that never triggered. Vamoose back through the next key area. The next target areas, some people were asking about this today. 122.30, then 118.05 are my next major target areas. But this was pretty substantial technical damage in Apple today. I mean, this is the lowest close since back in June. My key area I'm watching is, as I've talked about before, is this reconnection with 118.05 to 114 roughly. Somewhere in there. For reevaluation. Hey, Options 22, thank you for being here. You're welcome, Royal Palms. Potential play in copper tomorrow. Maybe gold also. Well, let's take a look, Charles. Copper. Where is my copper? There's good old copper. Copper, this is actually pretty bullish. Look at this, basing at that 200. Yeah, there is a potential play. It's getting some selling pressure up in here, but it has triggered the longer term pattern, and it's holding up at the breakout zone. When you see patterns like this, there's no guarantee, of course, but when you see patterns like this, you get a break. Even this broke out, came back, but now it's holding. It's basing at the breakout pattern, and it's chipping away at the 200. So, yeah, longer term, I'm still very bullish on copper. Do not discount this 405 target area, though, if you're trying to play it shorter term. The only thing that changes my mind in the short term is if we got a close back on a daily, close below 370. That's the only thing that could do some pretty substantial technical damage in the short term. Gold's still holding the rotation zone. If gold can get a breakup of about 1830, you could see a pretty quick run to 1850. And silver, all these are holding up so far. This is, well, on the bigger term, it's a triple top. Is this a double top? No. Why? Second and third targets do run below, but if you start getting a larger close, either 4-hour or daily below this, you could see a return back down, a little pullback play in the short term on silver. That's what I would be watching for there. It was Friday, but you could move it till next week. Yeah, you might want to. Again, can't give specific trading advice, but you might want, and I don't know if I'll do that with next week, but, you know, that's a great position to have on, especially when we get the next wave of selling. I would, I'd ride it at least till Friday morning before rolling from my perspective. Speaking of bankruptcy, Carvana, we've talked about that before. What are they going to do with the giant Pez dispensers, Sterling? What's Carvana going to do with his giant car Pez dispensers? And I know people who rode this all the way down. Look, here's another one, round-tripped. Horrible financials. Never had a PE. Just obliterated. This is why you got to know where your stops are. Please. These are a lot of lessons. Another. Skyrocketing up. I mean, if look, August of 21, we're trading around 375. Now you're trading at $3. To people who said this could never happen, riding it all the way back down. These valuations were never warranted, but things can stay insane. Wow. Another sad one. Oh, Mike is not bullish or bearish. He's baldish. Gotcha. They've started selling their inventory to dealers. Yeah, they're done. They're done. There's no way you're getting out of it. Carvana's done. AMC will go belly up. I've not looked at this one in a while, but this is gonna go to Bed Bath & Beyond will go bye-bye this year. What else? What else do we have? Oh, is GameStop finally breaking down? I have not looked at GameStop in a couple days, but I didn't realize they broke on a closing basis key technical support and zeroing in on the 87.5 to round trip it. Oh, even GameStop. Sorry for everybody who's holding GameStop higher. Sterling, I was down 85% before getting here. There's life after, but you have to sell all the junk and learn before getting back in. Very good advice. Don't chase junk. Hey ho, Waka Waka. Slow and steady wins the race. And learning proper techniques. Thank you for being here, Waka Waka. I haven't seen you recently. Like Intel and AAP, what do you think about I don't know. You can see the last time I looked at T. Rowe Price. What do I think about I'm just looking at some information. Decent dividend yield. Could keep this on the radar screen. PE's getting back to sane levels. I might be really targeting back to around this $100 mark again for a T. Rowe Price. Wouldn't be aggressive with it here since it closed below 62.5, but down here, you know, that would be one to possibly trade around a core position also. With that dividend yield, that's another potential one. At AAP, I love Advanced Auto Parts. Advanced Auto Parts can also have a little more to pull back, by the way. Advanced Auto Parts is one that I love in the long term. I'm being very cautious on the short term unless we get a really strong bottoming pattern. I mean, you had this little mini, the double that turned virtually into a triple. I'm focused on a little bit more because I'd like to see this PE come back a little, but I'm really eyeing around here for a stronger bottoming pattern. We just don't have it on the weekly yet. Advanced Auto Parts is another nice one. Or the other thing, if you're trying to accumulate some here, we get that close below 136. I'd lighten up before re-adding because we could easily come back to the 115 area on the next major down push. But this is another one to watch for, AAP. How'd that line get off? No, let's see. You liked targeting a 104 entry on. I didn't see the rest of your statement. I might be slightly lower, but if you're trading around a core position, if you get a bottoming pattern down in here, I'd pay attention to it. If this thing breaks down again, you're going to test this $100 mark just because it's a nice magnet. Did this round trip also to the 87.5? Yep, it did round trip to the 87.5 already. So that's another one. That's another one I keep an eye on for a stronger bottoming pattern. Waka Waka's 166 is his top target bounce. I'll give you my top target bounce. $164. 160 to 164. Let me fine tune that a little more. $160. Is there a potential monthly double top in Apple? Let's take a look. It's very sloppy with this left-hand side. Let's see where the targets take us. Keep an eye on it with the targets. It hasn't triggered. Well, it could trigger in the next 2 days on a monthly. I don't particularly like this, but I would consider using, especially this 50% target, 105 to 101. 105 to 101 could be a decent, if it does break this weekly 200, that could be a decent target area. I mean, for Apple, I mean, Apple's really got to see a lot of earnings compression. So we'd be going into a much stronger recession to get down to some of these lower targets. But I could see with the next really market flush out move down that 105. Let's see, where do we sit? Oil? Oil. Let's get to oil. Oil. Oil coming back down, testing the breakout area and the rotation zone cross. For me, it's still the only thing is that's making me a little hesitant on the daily to play it to the long side just yet is we get weekly cycles hitting the top. We're in the weekly rotation zone, and we have daily cycles trying to roll over, and it stalled out at that 50. So yes, it could bounce, but my target would be this 81.68 area to the highs in the beginning of December. So my reward to risk is really poor to the upside. There is potential for a little more upside, but there's just not a great setup so far right now. Based off where the cycles are. That's the word I was looking at earlier. I couldn't think of the word. Cycles. What I'll be watching for is daily cycles get back to the bottom and then a potential bullish setup again. Remember, we hit the second target area for the double top. So that's it. We're in this weekly rotation zone. I can't find a lot to play in the short term with oil just yet. There was no great bottoming pattern today. You got a nice bounce, but there's no great bottoming pattern. You can see here on the 15-minute. So Peloton is going to zero. It's never a good sign when the low from back, what day was this? The low in October was 666. I don't know. I think Peloton might actually get scooped up if it goes below like $1. Peloton might get scooped up. Been super busy at work and family, but I do watch the videos after. Well, thank you very much, Waka Waka. Again, thank you for taking the time to get in here. So let's just see where we sit. Is there anything else I need to review? Can I check on Amazon? Amazon, another new low close. Almost back to that 87.5, 80.76. Be watching for that, for the push to hit down, possibly tomorrow or Friday to 80.76. The next harmonic below that is 78.28. But longer term, next key area for me is about $70. That's the next key area for me. I believe we will easily test these over the next few months, this $70 area in Amazon. It'd be nice to see memes. All right, that's where we sit. Have you seen the meme on Ukraine where we have S&P all red and the new large square for Ukraine and 100% green? Oh, where's... All right, I'm thinking, is there anything else I want to touch on? Not really. Currencies have been very flat. Waiting for this new year to get out of the way with anything currency related pretty much at this point. By the way, these little pullback today, but remember their peg at 50 is holding up close to the new JGB or the Bank of Japan peg. It's holding up pretty close to that. So we're going to keep an eye on that in the future. Bitcoin with the NASDAQ rolling over. But not much new technical damage done just yet. Okay, not seeing anything else to look at. So we will peek in tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Thank you everyone for being here. Reminder, tomorrow morning, we have initial and continuing jobless claims at 7:30 Central, so 1 hour before the market opens. That's pretty much the only thing besides crude traders. Tomorrow, Besides the 7:30 numbers, there's nothing else for stocks. Only thing that can affect everybody is the crude numbers, which again were delayed by 1 day because of the holiday. And then the only thing Friday, as a reminder, is the Chicago PMI, stock related. So there's not much else unless these numbers, unless the initial or the continuing jobless claims come out really weird. They're expected to come in virtually in line with the last numbers. I mean, a slight bump up in initials, continuing slight decrease. Unless those numbers really miss the forecasts, I'm not expecting much of those numbers to directly affect the market. But if we have a big beat or big miss, you could see it affect the market. All right, with that, did I miss the weekly head and shoulders? Which are you talking about, Sterling? Which are you also know that some banks use Avaya. Do you think it can go up, Mike? Why don't we take a look at that tomorrow? George, oh, in love? In love? Boy, isn't that been a disaster with Southwest Airlines? Yeah, you had this strangely shaped head and shoulders, but this is one because of this area that I use my new flat neckline rules instead of downward sloping because how close it is, but that hit all the targets. Closed yesterday below the 62.5 and followed through. Loves returning to this low area from back in October. What a disaster that is. So yeah. Yeah, let's do it tomorrow. I want to look at closer. Yeah, there you go, Sterling. This is, and then if this breaks down, let me just check love while we're on it. By the way, next push down, I'm expecting this to also retest this 27 mark. Love's a disaster right now. And the PDE for an airline with oil actually holding up right now and all their difficulties, this could easily see lower prices. And look at that. 87.5 in the reverse harmonic projections. So I'd be, and you still have a gap left behind here. Technically the gap's in front of, technically the gap's right at the next harmonic area. Look at that, 28.93. Gap fill, 28.87. And then below that, we got a harmonic cluster with the 87.5 and the reverse harmonic full 25%. So that could be interesting for some bearish plays right there. Not for to end out the week. We probably won't hit it this week, but possibly in January. There you go. I'm leaving it at that. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. The Love Weekly Head and Shoulders. Which weekly were you looking at? This weekly? Oh, you mean this big one. Let's measure that out. Then I'm leaving. You had a target of 2802. I roughly have one 2815. So that's the ballpark. Just depends on how exactly I line it up right there. But remember, because you don't have clear anchor points. I use the head and shoulders as an area. But look how well that lined up. The second target, I didn't know you were talking about that one. The second target coming in with that harmonic. Look how well things just happen to line up when you use proper targets and harmonics. And look at this. With the 87.5, you got the head and shoulders final target. You got the 87.5, and you got a reverse harmonic. There you go. Thanks for pointing that out, Sterling. With that, we'll leave this on the screen to finish up the wonderful technical analysis like nobody else does on YouTube. If you find somebody who does this kind of technical analysis, please let me know, because I'd be interested to see what they're doing. With that, talk to everyone tomorrow. Bye for now.